Look! This just might be the autumn for Pokemon vs. Digimon. With both franchises having already released their newly formatted comebacks, Story, Time Stranger,
The visuals of Shinjuku that I'm seeing are a hellscape I can't quite put into words.
and Legends Z-A respectively the past few weeks, there just might be more to this hot take to dive into. So why shan't we? Shan't. Stemming from their foundational similarities as monster companions that evolve and their dramatically distinct approaches to storytelling, character relationships, not to mention gameplay, since that's what a bulk of us are kinda after.
Lend me your strength to move forward into the future!
Mr. Modest himself, huh?
Pokemon focuses on collecting pets and sports-centric competition, while Adversity, Digimon, and Bandai emphasizes the more mature, plot-driven narrative with oftentimes high-stakes apocalyptic battles. On one side of the coin, Pokemon is the highest-grossing media franchise of all time, with a massive global fanbase built on consistently popular game releases, anime arcs, and merchandising alike. Its accessible, lighthearted, and oftentimes optimistic tone suits it for broad audience demographics. But on the other hand, each season's and subsequent multiverse of the Digimon lore, especially earlier ones like Tamers,
Great news, your monkey's got a plan.
So who is Roger?
It's kind of a lingo thing.
Why'd you have to bring him into this?
Rika?
I don't trust him.
and Adventures 1 and 2, tells of a self-contained, linear plot with rising stakes as we progress towards each climax, as well as complex character development along the way, with themes of moral ambiguity, loss of friends, and even the inevitable ending of the world, all encapsulated into one fandom. The core element of Pokemon is the catch-em-all mentality, if you will, that has appealed to collectors ever since its pilot game release. The main line of Pokemon games follows a consistent, beloved RPG formula of exploring different regions, catching Pokemon, and battling gym leaders along the way to eventually reach the Elite Four. While each Digimon game outside of the first Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory are all standalone stories and even many times distinct formatting and gameplay as well. Outside of the two I just mentioned, none of the other releases even in the Story series plays the same. Though all JRPGs in their own right, sharing a core monster collecting formula, they play to distinct fan bases and niches, each with a unique spin on the brand. But I'ma save the nitty gritty from gameplay mechanics later on in their sections. From first glance, both releases have similar qualities, as Legends Z-A isn't a mainline game drop. It played a lot more to the open world Zelda design, which is exactly what Digimon Story has been giving us since the first Cyber Sleuth. To make matters worse, both receiving the same Metacritic score of 79, generally favorable. Though the overall user score does tell more on the general growing trends in the gaming community of preferring effort and quality over nostalgia and repetition. Legends received a 4.5 from users being generally unfavorable, while Story received universal critical acclaim from fans, garnering a 9.4 in just a couple of weeks. But let's give it some time, since Legends is a spin-off-esque series among the likes of Digimon World, so the 10th generation drop set for 2026 would be the appropriate matchup for Time Stranger.
Okay, Trico.
After the release of Digimon Story Time Stranger on October 2nd, Bandai's 7th installment in the beloved Digimon Story RPG series, I have the privilege to say that I got the chance to take this new game out for a spin. And my god, did I get transported right back to my 3rd grade bedroom experiencing the magic that was Digimon Story on the Nintendo DS. Time Stranger focuses on a stylish, story-driven approach with an engaging time traveler narrative, deep and more flexible digivolution system, and new ensemble of charismatic cast of Digimon and partners. The game features story-rich RPG experience with extensive mechanics for raising, training, not to mention customizing of Digimon teams. Being on the newest generation of consoles, software also allows a new mechanic incorporating 16 personality types that affect each Digimon's stats and skill growth. So, similar to the system in Pokemon games, but just revamped for modern times. Like any newer open world title, there's also a skill points abilities system as you rank up, where new abilities for the player unlock Digimon abilities through the use of anomaly points. Cross Arts is also a new mechanic introduced that fuse your Digivice with the Digimon's power to provide additional combat buffs. Cause, you know, every RPG now has to incorporate some level of skill spamming. It comes with the territory. I mean, there's just something satisfying with getting tired and randomly button mashing to create the most beautiful combo you could have ever created intentionally. There's even also a season pass that's already available for the game, including 2 additional Digimon packs and many more to come, as well as 2 new episode arcs for the main story. While not officially confirmed, data mined information and leakers, as well as the voice actor who worked on Time Stranger himself,
My coffee was cold this morning. And you know who's behind all of it? Digimon.
has indicated new Digimon including Jesmon X and Bancho Golemon to be arriving soon. Rumors also of a new antagonist, Parallelmon, who can even jump between dimensions, will be a key antagonist across all 3 planned DLC packs for the game. Storytime Stranger features a clever plot where our secret agent protagonist is sent back in time 8 years prior to the events of Hacker's memory to prevent a catastrophic event called the Shinjuku Inferno.
Weapon is also what caused the Shinjuku Inferno. It seems this timeline is also on the path to ruin.
As you navigate between the past and present, players see how characters and the relationships with Digimon change, creating meaningful emotional stakes. So basically everything Digimon has been great at for so long, fine-tuned perfectly to an RPG landscape. The Digimon themselves are the standout characters of the story, each with a distinct and lively personality and memorable voice acting. And the new Digivolution system allows you to Digivolve and de-Digivolve into various forms based on their stats, creating vast branches of possibilities for team building and strategic gameplay. The process is highly engaging and adds on to the addictive nature of the title. The combat system has also been revamped, building on the Cyber Sleuth mechanics, adding depth through a multi-layered weakness system involving both attributes like virus variants, vaccines, and even data, not to mention elemental affinities.
What's your deal, you blockhead?
Well, at least I'm not some chrome dome like you!
This encourages players to strategically plan to efficiently take down enemies rather than comparably just, you know, full sending.
Hey, Ron. Hey, Billy.
This is more so the case with the myriad of bosses littered throughout the story. There's also new player sanity features. And what I mean by that is, you know those monotonous moments in all RPGs where you're not necessarily strong enough to progress in the main story, but none of the side missions spark any particular interest. Therefore, usually you would have to put on some music and grind through a couple of dozens of fights for that sweet experience. But Time Stranger thought of that, and players can speed up battles, turn on auto battle, and even manage Digimon from the main menu, making grinding far less tedious than in the past, enhancing the Ever Monster Collection loop and overall gameplay experience. With over 450 Digimon available already a few weeks after launch, plus plenty of side quests and hidden dungeons to explore, Digimon Story Time Stranger offers a lengthy and fulfilling experience for both veteran Digimon fans and a perfect entry point for newcomers alike.
Gas prices keep going up. Inflation is through the roof. And you know who's behind all of it? Digimon.
All Digimon game releases except for the aforementioned Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory are all independent bodies of work, rather than the industry standard derivative system. Even though you could still argue that Hacker's Memory has enough changes to be considered a standalone title as well. And that's where many of the haters formed their arguments from, as these games all don't play the same. Each one being a different variation of the RPG genre, fans are reluctant to pick up every release when each drop feels like it's coming from a different production company. The OG Digimon Story set the standard for the series' core gameplay loop and turn-based combat. Super Crow's Wars Red and Blue were the next rendition. Based on the Digimon Fusion anime, they significantly changed the evolution system to emphasize Digi-Crows and Digi-Fusion, being temporary and permanent fusion respectively, rather than traditional evolutionary lines.
The weather's been absolutely insane lately. Global climate change, polar ice caps melting, and you know who's behind all of it? Digimon.
Digimon Cyber Sleuth, then being the first game on home consoles, came with legitimate graphical upgrades. The traditional monster collecting JRPG, blending a more mature cyberpunk noir story, gameplay still turn-based but centered around recruiting Digimon by repeatedly scanning them in battle to fill a progress bar. Playing most like a run-of-the-mill JRPG with monster collection elements, dialogue-heavy cutscenes, tedious dungeons, and clock-draining late-game bosses. So everything we love in an RPG, just as long as variation and plot can keep up. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory came next as a parallel story or midquel, taking place during the events of the first game, but from the perspective of a different protagonist. This time around, developers added domination and territory battles, a more character-driven story. Even though stakes weren't as high as the original, far more relationship building and background plot took place. The newest title, Time Stranger, replaces the previous game's random encounters with symbol encounters, where enemies are visible on your map rather than popping up randomly out of nowhere. The game features more cinematic elements and better graphics than its predecessors as per usual, though unlike all the other titles, there's no PvP, and will not be introducing any player versus player modes. Differing from Pokemon titles, picking up a Digimon Story release can sometimes be like a game of Russian roulette. But Time Stranger just might be the fully encapsulated version of all its previous renditions, and the best take on a Digimon game so far. In an ever-competitive market, hard work and dedication still stands out among the rest.
My phone battery keeps dying. Hollywood keeps making reboots of everything I loved as a kid and ruining them, and social media keeps advertising things that I don't want.
And you know who's behind all of it?
Okay, that last one might be legitimate corporate capitalism, but you know who's behind all of it? Digimon.
Taking into account the context from the entirety of the Pokémon and Pokémon Legends series, many critics and players alike find Legends Z-A disappointing due to its uninspired visuals, a lifeless small city environment, simplified battle system that feels like a somewhat watered down version of past games, and a lack of a new Pokémon generation. Many feel it lacks the innovation and freedom of Pokémon Legends Arceus, offering a repetitive and less exciting experience despite all the hype and preparation that went into the release. The aggressive monetization thrown in and restrictive urban environment didn't help matters. While the core gameplay and new battle systems were decent proponents, many feel it to be a step backwards from its award-winning predecessor. Everywhere online, fans complained that textures felt flat and poorly detailed, especially in Lumio City, which is the main city. That's it. Motionless NPCs, shops without interiors, and repetitive buildings brought out the lack of immersion and made the map feel empty a lot of the times. Even more noticeable was the total lack of voice acting. making key story moments feel even more lifeless for such a high-budget price tag title. The choice to switch from the vast open areas of Arceus to now all being set within Lumio City was a choice, to say the least. While it may have been meant to make the world feel more dense, players find the city to be repetitive, reducing the sense of adventure and exploration known to the Legends titles. Fewer variety of objectives also accentuated the loop cycle of the game, and made the limited scope of the story ever more apparent. Instead of introducing bold new systems, the game's real-time combat is seen as a lesser imitation of the system in Xenoblade Chronicles. The return of Mega Evolutions is also critiqued as having barely any innovations from its last introduction. Several controversial, not to mention questionable business practices alongside the release was the nail on the head for fan outrage. A $70 base game drop wouldn't have been so bad if it weren't for the announcement of a $30 Day 1 DLC before the game was even released, making it feel incomplete without the extra purchase. Ergo, a $100 full experience.
We heard this building gives off a strange scent at night, so we're checking it out. You got permission, right?
Yeah, let's head in. Huh? It's all melted.
Something smells sweet.
I'll get the door.
To where some have accused the company of corporate greed,
Anyone home?
posing a design decisions
Sure is dark in here.
that feel like blatant cash grabs. Sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? And I know what you're thinking.
It's locked.
Didn't Digimon do the same thing? Making their game $100 on day one as well with their DLC? Yes, and shame on them too. But at least you're getting another episode arc to the main story, which has always been behind a paywall for many AAA titles in the past. Bad Packs in Call of Duty, DLC in both GTA and Red Dead Redemption games, the list goes on.
Oh, I did not see you there.
I know.
But Pokémon Legends Z to A places an entire advertised Mega Evolutions mechanic behind their DLC paywall. So theoretically, for a player who never planned on getting any DLC on top of the base game, they won't ever even touch more than a couple of Mega Evolutions. The inability to disable autosaves also frustrates many who rely on manual saves in Pokemon games for shiny hunting and soft resetting, taking away a fundamental aspect of all Pokemon games itself.
Oh, it's just mirrors.
As there's no way I'm restarting my entire save because I one-hit a legendary. Not a frickin' chance. Nevertheless, there were still some highlights to the release, as unlike the traditional turn-based combat of previous Legends, Z to A now features real-time action battles where players and Pokemon can move freely in battle as they command moves. This allows for a more varied strategic approach, as attacks and non-damaging moves have to be timed, with the latter even being able to be used while waiting for an attack to recharge. It kind of feels like Pokemon Battle Revolution, but just revamped. Moves also all have different ranges, cooldown times, and areas of effect, which players must consider for maximum impact. Now, these add-ons are all decent and fun for brief stints, though each time you start getting into the gameplay and end a battle, you quickly realize how shallow much of the rest of the world and story are. The new ball selection interface has also been glitching as well, causing many players to accidentally use their Master Balls with no way to get them back since you can't turn autosave off. Yo, whoever thought of that bright idea needs a severance.
Engage in a knowledge transfer about an impending vocational paradigm shift. People get fired in here. That's horrible.
Overall, Z to A just feels rushed and incomplete. While Legends Arceus was praised for revitalizing the franchise with fresh ideas and a new sense of adventure for Pokemon fans everywhere, the same fans argue that Z to A instead leans on familiar mechanics and lacks the bold vision that made its predecessor so revolutionary. So basically, an EP to the studio album that is Legends Arceus. With an ever-competitive market in literally every single media industry known to man, even with age-old brands, fans are easily able to pinpoint laziness and mediocrity. When there are dozens of titles from hardworking novel producers,
soon she'll wake and paint again. Paint a new number, ticking down every year. One stroke, and everyone of that age vanishes into nothingness. Every year she paints again, and every year an expedition departs for the continent with one hopeless mission: destroy the paintress.
And historic occult franchises alike, coming out every fiscal quarter. Let's just hope they learn from their mistakes and keep up with the 2026 mainline Pokemon game release. Since when was the last time a non-re-release was
Looks
memorable?
like a dead end.
I'll tell ya, Pokemon Black and White 2. And only because of the expanded Pokedex.
Okay, let's go and get your Pokemon.
Your boy loves some 4th generation. While the Pokemon vs. Digimon debate often gets framed as a rivalry stemming from their foundational similarities, the argument highlights the distinct philosophies and strengths of each franchise. Instead of one being objectively better, each excels in different areas, appealing to various tastes in storytelling, character development, and gameplay. The most fundamental difference lies in the nature of the monsters themselves. Created by Satoshi Tajiri, Pokemon is based on the creator's childhood hobby of bug collecting. And we see these stylistic choices throughout the anime and games where Pokemon exist as organic creatures in the human world. While Digimon derived from the Tamagotchi digital pet craze, which surprisingly enough was actually marketed towards boys initially. Digimon are rather digital sentient life forms composed entirely of data from a parallel digital world. Regardless of their similarities, these distinctions are found in literally every aspect of either brand. Pokemon trainers are catchers, and pet owners who command their Pokemon in sports-like battles for money. Humans in Digimon are rather known as tamers or digidestined, and stand as partners to their Digimon in a mutual friendship. Although there are outliers like Meowth and Mewtwo telepathically, most Pokemon communicate using their species name or animal-like sounds.
That pesky Pikachu almost caught me and I couldn't feel any more humiliated.
While most Digimon are capable of human speech and independent thought, the difference in tone and narrative approach is also a major point of discussion for anime fans. Pokemon follows a long-running episodic journey with repeated central protagonist Ash freaking Ketchum, who rarely ages or experiences significant character resets. The Pokemon anime centers heavily on our main human protagonist, while supporting characters often having less development and sometimes they're merely for comedic relief. Bandai, on the other hand, makes sure each season of Digimon features a new cast of characters and a self-contained, serialized plot with a clear intro, climax, and resolution. Creators employ an ensemble cast where each of the human children receives substantial development and explores personal struggles.
Guys, no matter what happens, don't give up.
For even characters introduced during mini arcs. Even the gameplay loops of each franchise has always followed a distinct path. Pokemon titles centers on collecting monsters and battling in a relatively consistent turn-based RPG format. Though some argue this formula is repetitive, others appreciate its familiarity. While Digimon games has varied wildly over the years, as we had talked about earlier, Digimon World standing as a monster raising simulator, while Digimon Story is a more traditional turn-based RPG. And Survive is a hybrid visual novel and tactical RPG.
Hello darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk.
I don't think anyone has used that edit or that clip in like half a decade. I swear to God. In Pokemon, evolution is a permanent linear process for most species. Outside of Mega Evolutions that came later on, a symbol of a Pokemon's maturity and growth. Digivolution, though, is typically a temporary reversible transformation for a single battle power boost, often fueled by the human partner's emotional state. The strength of the partnership is often central to the evolution process, making many emotional states personal. The branching evolution paths are much more open-ended and complex, especially when you get into fusion digivolving, leading to many times more dramatic comebacks. Pokemon's game type system and turn-based battle mechanics are well defined and offer deep strategic options for competitive play. That's why the core Pokemon series is praised for its accessibility and consistent quality, but has also faced criticism for its lack of innovation over time. Digimon games have a more mixed reception due to their inconsistent direction, but are also praised for their depth and innovation for many story titles. Ultimately, the longevity and cultural impact of both franchises highlight their different priorities and strengths. Pokemon has achieved unparalleled global commercial success by appealing to a mass audience with its consistent, accessible, and family-friendly approach. On the flip side of the coin, Digimon has cultivated a smaller but dedicated fanbase by being willing to evolve, experiment with mature and high-stakes themes, not to mention telling deeper stories that resonate with older audiences. The most recent debates, sparked by the critical acclaim received by Digimon Story Time Stranger, illustrates this dynamic perfectly. Some fans see Digimon's willingness to take creative risks as a sign of its current upper hand, while Pokemon's established formula remains a safe and reliable appeal to a different audience. Either way, the preference for either or is subjective and boils down to, well, whatever floats your boat. Or Pokeship? Pokeyacht? I don't know. They're like Anime Supreme. One way or another, they're putting their branding on it and it works.
Supreme, baby.
I tried to catch Mewtwo, but somebody beat me to it. I'm sorry, I
just bought a faux fur jacket for $1,000, so...
People want to know, hey, look, that guy's wearing Supreme, but people also make a living off it too, so...
After the release of these nuts, based on the Digimon Fusion anime, based on Amine, I detained but I'm here for the crown. Dreamville, headhunt your bitch, we came for nothing, just like the Big Bang Theory. The poverty stain kept the pain buried and covered the shame with a drain. We without fortune and fame, a million a bank, chameleon paint, turn cranberry, and a little Jermaine. Got the same story, that boy all the same, Vincent Saint Mary, go! Pressure cooker that's been known to bust a lump of coal and make a diamond. 2-6 we enrolled in Reaganomics, 2-6 with the golden slate of rhyming on God!